Hi, I'm an internal auditor, and in a few seconds I will show you 7 of the numerous things that an internal auditor is not allowed to do or should not do in order to maintain his professionalism, his ethical standing, as well as his integrity and objectivity. Come with me. Number 1, an internal auditor should not compromise his independence and objectivity. So independence talks about the audit function itself, while objectivity talks about the auditor as a person. So an auditor should not compromise that. And then number 2, an internal auditor should not engage in management decision making. No matter how tempting or alluring that could be, or how it could make you feel close to, seat of power as one of those that make decisions within the organization, remember that you are an assurance provider and an advisor. So let us play within that scope and not seek to usurp management power in making operational decisions. So an internal auditor should not engage in management decision making. It's a no. It's a no. You cannot go back to audit a decision you are a part of, or that you are even a strong voice in deciding, not even just in an advisor, but as one who engaged in those operational decisions, who made those decisions. So please, it's a no. If you are caught in that, pull back a little to maintain your independence. And then number 3, an internal auditor should not perform audit of areas where they have had prior responsibility of. So if as an internal auditor you've had responsibility over a particular function, then you cannot provide assurance over that function. For instance, you're an operations person that moved into the audit function. At least within the space of 1 year, according to standards, you're not permitted to go and carry out the audit of that particular function. Then number 4, an internal auditor should not accept bribes, gifts, or favors, undue favors, not just any favor, but undue favors. As internal auditor, you are expected not to accept, you should not accept gifts, because this thing will compromise your objectivity. You should not accept gifts, you should not accept undue favors. And so when your audit client begins to get, unduly favorably disposed towards you, then you need to pull back a bit and then ask yourself, where is all of this leading? Remember, your integrity and your objectivity is the primary reason why you are an auditor, and so you are not allowed to do that. And then number 5, as an internal auditor, you are now not allowed, you should not modify or misrepresent audit findings. Now, it's a different thing when you brought out your draft audit findings and then you are in deliberation and engagement with your audit clients, and then some clarifications are brought to what's your to your findings, and then you now have to correct your misrepresentations or your misjudgments. It's a different thing. You are still in the process of fine-tuning the report. However, once you are sure of a particular finding and it's not a misrepresentation, then you should not modify your audit findings in order to favor a particular outcome. Okay, once you do that, then you've lost everything that makes you an internal auditor or an assurance provider. And then number 6, an internal auditor should not ignore professional standards and regulations. There are many standards, but the primary standard that for the internal audit practice is the IPPF framework of the Institute of Internal Auditors. And also there is the SOX for publicly quoted companies. There is also the GAAP, there is the IFRS, as well as several other industry-specific, transaction-specific, and jurisdiction-specific regulations. So as internal auditors, we are bound by these regulations, and we should know what these regulations are saying, and we should not ignore these regulations. As a matter of fact, we are to give assurance that the institution we represent are abiding or working by these regulations. They are complying to these regulations. So as an internal auditor, your IPPF is your holy grail, is your Bible that you have to hold to heart. It defines what makes you an internal auditor. It defines how you should practice. It defines gives you specific instructions on, and guidance on how the audit practice should be carried out. So nothing is left to chance, really. And the whole essence of policies and procedures is to make actions predictable. So embrace the IPPF as well as other industry specific standards that define how internal audits should be practiced. And then lastly, and number 7, which is my favorite, internal auditors should not share confidential information without authorization. That goes without giving. An internal auditor, by virtue of what you do, you have unfettered access to every and any information within the organization, as provided for by the audit charter. That audit charter is so powerful, approved by the highest governing body of the institution, which is the board, and it defines what the audit, it defines the power of the internal audit function, and one of which is that you have unfettered access to any information. Is it payroll information? Is it recruitment information? Is it medical information? Is it personal information, age, anything that has to do with that organization? Is it remuneration? Is it disciplinary information? Is it, what do you want to call it? Is it interaction with regulators and correspondences with regulators? Is it fines? Is it, fraud that take place within the institution, fraud records? Is it specific information? No matter, as long as it's taking place within that organization, as an internal auditor, you have unfettered access. However, the level of the auditor that carries out the function sometimes determine what extent is reviewed, and that is why sometimes a more senior person is allowed or is given, has to be the one to review certain information. There are some reviews that are carried out by the CAE only, all right, and then there are some that other team leads can carry out. So that goes without saying that the internal auditor has unfettered access, and this information that we have access to in the course of duty is not supposed to be used for personal gain. It's not supposed to be used for, raising your shoulder within the institution and then you look at somebody and I know everything about you. No, we don't do that. Okay, you only use those information within the line of your reporting to be able to give assurance, all right, or to be able to give an advice, a guided advice. So I hope that helps. So as an internal auditor, that duty of care, that confidentiality, that utmost confidentiality is one of the things that make us as an internal auditor. And if you have an auditor as a friend, please embrace that person, and you can be sure that your secrets are safe with them. Internal auditors are close-mouthed people. They are not public blabbers. They don't just go talking here and there. They are guided communicators. So you have a friend that is an internal auditor. Embrace the friendship. Enjoy the person's presence, and I hope that helps. That is my muse for today. 7 things that an internal auditor should not do in order to maintain his integrity, his professionalism, and objectivity.
Thank you for being part of Shalom's Muse, the journal of an internal auditor, drawing wisdom from unexpected sources and helping you do and be more.